to the March 28th business meeting of the Rochester Board of Education. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Malloy if you'd be willing to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Malloy. And I'm going to turn it over to our board clerk to present the upcoming events of the Board of Education.
Good evening. Oh, thank you. Good evening, commissioners and community. For April 2024, the board will begin their month with a policy committee meeting on Tuesday, April 9th, beginning at 6 p.m. On Wednesday, April 10th, we will hold the traditional budget hearing at 6 p.m. And then on Saturday, April 13th at 10 a.m. at Wilson Foundation Academy, the board will hold a reflective conversations with the community. On Tuesday, April 16th, we'll convene the ESA committee meeting, followed by the special meeting for consideration of resolutions. We will then begin our budget deliberation process with the first session on Wednesday, April 17th at 6 p.m. The Finance Committee meeting will convene on Tuesday, April 23rd, also at 6 p.m., be followed by the second budget deliberation session on Wednesday, April 24th. We will conclude the month with the board business meeting on Thursday, April 25th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. Any speakers wishing to address the board may register by contacting our office via phone at 585-262-8525 or emailing the Board of Education at rcsdk12.org by noon on the day of the meeting. The board continues to recruit parent representatives to serve on the Policy Development and Review Committee at this time. Any parent or legal guardian of students who are currently attending an RCSD school and are interested may apply by visiting the website at rcsdk12.org/BOE parent rep. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahima. We've got the board minutes from October 10th, and I'm going to ask for a motion for their approval.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I probably should have asked if there are any questions or comments related, any changes that needed to be made to those minutes. But we'll move on. We're now at the portion of our speakers addressing the Board of Education. I will start off with Abdul Bounds.
Good evening, board. Just got a quick, concern as a parent. Got a quick concern as a parent. We know our superintendent has left and went somewhere else. As a graduate of this district, and a parent, what are you going to do different from what media says that Rochester always, how can I say it, every couple years superintendents disappear? We hear that you guys are the problem. Saying you guys, we voted for you once again. As a voter, I want answers. Understand some of us may have disagreements up there on obvious things, but as a parent, as a community member, and as an employee, what are we going to do different for Rochester? The children of Rochester. Once again, the children of Rochester. You guys are on this board. Some of you people, again, I never see. Come around, come see. Come see the boots on the ground. Actually hear the stories that we hear, the pain. Again, what are we going to do different for these children? I have a child that is 6 years old at number 19 school. What are we going to do different for this little boy? Because I'm at the point, in the breaking point, like I did with my daughter in the second grade, move my child out of this district. Thank you.
Thank you. And before I call up the next speaker, let me just also say that we have, I believe Dr. Peluso is on Zoom, or will be on Zoom, yep. And Commissioner Vice President LeBron is running late, but will be here. And I think that covers everybody. So I just wanted to make those announcements. The next speaker is Maria Gonzalez.
Hello, My name is Maria Gonzalez. I'm here for the student absentee. One, a lot of students are missing school. Two, they're on the streets during daytime. I want to know what's going on about the knocking on the door, making phone calls, and it's not working, because I don't know if you're doing your job or nobody's doing their job. So even though I found out that I had to be responsible for my grandkid who been missing 12 days of school, the month of March, and I have to do a job because the mother is homeless now with 3 kids, okay? You gotta knock on those doors to see what's going on with those kids that are not going to school. Sometimes they have problem, mental problem, or other kind of issue they have going around with the parents. So in order for them to go to school, you have to knock on those doors and let them know that you're there to take care of them too. Don't forget about those students. So I want to know what you guys right there sitting down are going to do for our kids.
We're not going to respond at this point. You can
Okay.
refer that to the superintendent's cabinet. The next speaker is Elizabeth Laidlaw.
Can you all hear me? President Elliott and commissioners, especially excited to see Commissioner Santiago up there this evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Beth Ladla. My daughter started school number 5 with a 1-word vocabulary. 12 years later, she scored a 5 on the AP English exam. So I learned firsthand that well-resourced teachers can do incredible things. Currently, my husband tutors 12 hours a week. A typical day in his classroom starts with a couple of kids getting into a scuffle. Over the course of the day, they start bickering, other students join in, sometimes coming to blows. These are 3rd graders, and the teacher does her best to keep some of the kids on task, but at least a third of her day is spent on behavioral issues. Daily restorative circles would hold students accountable. It would also build relationships to minimize these risks. Restorative circles are key to the success at East High School, and they're expensive, requiring an expanded day and increased staffing. Last July, I asked for an investigation of a wave of demotions and firings done without notice, without cause by the district leadership. My concern then and now is that the loss of these staffers hampers the district's ability to hire social workers to put restorative circles into classrooms. These staffers, many of whom are women of color, have the skills the district needs now, especially for stability. An internal investigation was done, although the demoted staffer will never see the report, and you will never see the report because board policy prevents you from accessing the report. So my first request is that you change policy so that you can at least read what the internal investigator discovered. I know what should be in that report because I sat through the investigator's interview of the demoted staffers who detailed with a timeline and documentation for the investigator accounts of a deputy superintendent and HCI's lack of following hiring protocol, conflict of interest in hiring issues, conflict of interest in the procurement of outside contractors. My second request is for a forensic audit of this administrator's hiring and procurement efforts over the past 6 years, specifically to include the extended learning 21st century and restorative services contracts. These mismanaged funds are the very funds that should be used for restorative circles. My last request is...
Thank you.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right. The next speaker is Lori Thomas.
Good evening. Tonight I am speaking specifically to Commissioner Santiago. We were recently in a meeting together where I explained that Neighbors Unite was going to Albany to demand that New York State release Rochester from its obligation to teach the Common Core curriculum that has been failing our children since its enforcement. To that you responded, they'll never do that. I'm speaking to you specifically, Commissioner Santiago, because as the newest and youngest member of the board, I believe you are being led astray by your fellow commissioners. Those next to you would have you believe that if we get more money, we do a better job. That's a lie. You see, their God is money, and they have sold our children to the highest bidder to live in poverty on this plantation we call Rochester. They, like you, had good intentions in the beginning of their terms, but then gave in to the demands of evil, ignoring the truth and relying on the welfare of the state to set them free. Money became their God, and they learned what to say and do in order to continue the flow of colonizing dollars from the New York slave state. My God, however, the God of love, shows us true the path. Proverbs 21:21. Whoever pursues righteousness and love finds life, prosperity, and honor. You must understand that God will repay each person according to what they have done. Romans 2:6. In other words, your choices determine your consequences. You, Commissioner Santiago, in your tenure with the board, can take a different path. You can recognize the truth that you are powerful enough to stand in the face of injustice we have heaped upon our children and reject their offer of servitude. You can stand with the people, fight the power, and fight for our children's right to an excellent education, not just a proper one. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked or stand in the way that sinners take or sit in the company of mockers. Psalms 1:1. You, Isaiah, are smack dab in the middle of that very group. Get out, step away, regain and maintain your integrity before you succumb to the evil of a deadly sin. Pride, greed, lust, gluttony, evil, envy, sloth, wrath. We each carry at least one of these sins within us. Mine is wrath, which made it necessary for me to temper it with love. What I say to you tonight is said with love. Love for our children, love for our city, love for my neighbors, love for myself, and above all, love for my God. Be blessed, Commissioner Santiago. Lead without fear. The path is set. I pray you have the courage and the strength to follow it. Thank you.
John Boutte?
Hello, my name's John Boutte. I'm with the Southwest Common Council Education Committee, and I want to speak a bit towards the need that we have in this community to work off of the successes we've had and replicate schools that work well and stop destroying the good with the bad. One of the first things we did when we had to work for School 16 and School 10, trying to make them community schools, was we talked to the people who had made School 17 a premier school back in the 90s. And they did that by really getting the community involved and getting the right support services into the school system. And Ralph Spezio gave us a lot of the guidance that we needed to understand what was needed for elementary schools. And it's been a pleasure seeing the turnaround that East has had in the past 8 years. Many of the people in our group have followed what was going on there. They were in that part of the town and saw the change in how the students that attended that school behaved in the surrounding community, and everything we've heard and reviewed of how things have been going in the school have been very good. Now, maybe this costs more than what we think we can get, but the reality is that There's always been money there to build the highways that split up minority neighborhoods, that brought all the purchasing to the malls instead of local businesses. We've done a great job of destroying the essence of a healthy city, and we need to repair the damage that has been done. That damage is going to take a bit of doing, but we need to put the money into the schools. And we have to be aware of the damage that was done by COVID in closing schools and getting many students who should have learned to read properly but were hurt by the pandemic. That's a coming storm that we have to be ready to correct. And that money's got to come from the state and federal government.
Thank you, Mr. Boutte. Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don Bartalo. Okay. Mr. Bartalo. Okay. All right, Mr. Bartalo, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Don Bartalo, and I live about 2 blocks from the Board of Education. I've lived in Rochester for 24 years. 2 of my grandchildren graduated from the school district. I'm a former school superintendent, but tonight I'm speaking as an independent educator. My focus tonight is school governance. I believe there are 2 ways to look at school governance. One way is when school government is under the control of the board. For example, when a Board of Education decides what reading program will be used and how students will be evaluated. The second way is when school governance is the autonomy of school leaders, teachers, students, and parents. They manage their own human, financial, and material resources. Here's my question for you tonight. Which way was the governance used at the East UR partnership for the past 5 years? Was it authority or autonomy? During this time, we've had 1 superintendent at East. During the same time, we've had 3 superintendents in the district. Think about this. Why is that? I hope you will think long and hard about the decision you have to make either tonight or soon. We have a model. There is a model that exists that helps our kids. Don't let us lose it. Don't lose it because of the belief that we have to control the school. We've seen what it can do. Don't lose that model. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bartolo. The next speaker is Mary Coffey.
I'd like to follow up with Don on East High School. I saw it develop. It was in our neighborhood, and we worked with government, and we worked with East to turn it around. It was a school of lost children, like so many of our schools in Rochester. You are in control of our children's future, and it is time you gave them a future. A future with economic opportunities like the children in our suburbs have. A good education, good job training, and the ability to go out and buy their own clothing, their own food, their own homes where they might want to live, instead of the government controlling their whole lives, or the drug world zapping them in for economic development in our city, destroying them and their whole lives and people around them. You hold the future of our children, and you've not done a good job. I'm sorry. Our children have failed because you have failed. Please, do not take East High School down. Use it as a model. Bring in the governor. We'll all go to the governor. We have the lowest school district in the state. We have the highest child poverty rate in the state. The state has an obligation here, too, to bring in the money and the needs for our children. Don't let them say too much. A child's mind and getting a child out of poverty is not too much. Please, 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 do not take East High School down and use it as a model for other schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coffey. The last speaker is Eddie Blandon. All right, I think that concludes the speakers portion of the agenda. I do want to thank all of the speakers who came to speak with their diverse opinions. Thank you so very much. The next item on the agenda is the Student Advisory Council report. David, you got a report? No report?
There's no report for this month, Ms.
All right, thank you. The Parent Leadership Advisory Council report?
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Heatherington, and I'm part of the leadership team of the Parent Leadership Advisory Council for the Rochester City School District. If you're a parent of a Rochester City School student, then you're a member of PLAC, the Parent Leadership Advisory Council, the district-wide parent group focusing on equity of every scholar in the district. The monthly meeting of parent group leadership with district leadership scheduled for March 4th was canceled and was not rescheduled. The next meeting is scheduled for April 1st at 6 p.m., and we look forward to that time. On March 5th, the leadership team met via Zoom to finalize plans for the March 14th PLAC Parents Teaching Parents about Policy 1900 Carnival at the Franklin campus. At the carnival, over 20 community partners and RCSD departments joined, hosting tables with silly games for scholars while parents engaged. Scholars won tokens that were cashed in at the end for cotton candy, popcorn, snow cones, and prizes to take home. We want to thank the Franklin High School basketball team for helping with loading in, and the amazing facilities team at that building. From the front office staff to the janitors and administration, PLAC was welcomed and encouraged to create an event with more than 130 families and over 400 people. The next leadership team meeting will be held on Tuesday, April 2nd at 6 p.m. via Zoom, and you're all welcome to attend. The final PLAC Parents Teaching Parents event for this school year is Thursday, April 11th from 5:30 to 7:30 at school number 39. And this will teach families about the school comprehensive education plans that exist at every school, and parents should know about them. We're welcoming in community partners again to collect coins, and kids will participate in, or families will participate in an ice cream social at the end. And we look forward to seeing you all there. On March 12th, Director Thomas presented to you all about summer programming opportunities for our students. It was highlighted multiple times that attendance is low and either shouldn't be or won't be funded because academic outcomes aren't seen in iReady scores. What is missing from the iReady data is how far those scholars would have fallen behind if they had not had that summer programming. What is also not measured in iReady data is that every summer programming is changed, and families are not able to predict if seats for scholars will exist, so you make other plans. If a long-term plan, which included summer programming, was put into place, it would solve a lot of those inconsistencies, lack of collective planning, and shared expectation takes a toll. Our scholars need comprehensive summer programming as a norm. As announced by the media, on Tuesday, March 26th, Superintendent Dr. Peluso is leaving to lead a different school district as of June 30th. After closing 11 programs in 33 days, as dozens of parents, students, educators, and community members asked for more time, with 4 new middle schools opening in September that have new educational expectations, and over 1,000 students in special education being moved to different buildings now, 5 months later, that leadership is leaving. We asked for more time because of this exact situation. We have been here before. Tonight, you will vote on the OPE and on the EPO at East High School. Do not dismantle it at this time. Do not make any additional changes. Just stop. The superintendent position as it currently exists and connects to the Board of Education as a way to oversee the Rochester City School District is a broken system. Dr. Peluso has met every need this district has ever wanted in a superintendent. He understood the job, had widespread district support and trust from union leadership, school buildings, and central office, and worked collaboratively with the board. We have all agreed in the past that these are elements of success. But at the very start of his time here, Plack approached the superintendent about bringing parents directly to the table to make sure he had that support. The offer was declined. We have watched as too much is put on one person again, and here we are again. We are all in this conversation. In the last 8 years, there have been 7 superintendents, not counting all of the interim superintendents that have had to return multiple times. An institution like ours needs consistent planning, strong leadership, and a path forward that we all see and have agreed on together through collective care and community building. We have to see each other as human beings. We continue to lose the incredible talent of our scholars, our children, our kids, in this city to the traps of poverty and systemic racism because the priorities of the adults continue to leave them out of sight. This will require a change in culture, patience with each other, and a consistent expectation of accountability from every side. We've been invited to meet on April 9th at 5 p.m. to discuss the path forward, and we look forward to that work, so thank you. As a reminder, parents are your partners. Thank you.
Thank you. The next report, is there a bilingual education report?
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Beth García, presidenta del Concilio de Educación Bilingüe. La reunión se abrió con una cena. Lourdes Roa, I'm going to start with Spanish. Con Lourdes Roa presentó una actualización sobre el Comité de Revisión del Código de Conducta. Habló del propósito del comité. Este año, una adición a la política actual fue crear una versión más abreviada y simplificada de la política actual, que es más larga. Esta versión hará que sea más fácil de leer y comprender para todos los que la utilizan. A continuación, el diputado Ruiz y el sargento Bowser discutieron las relaciones con el departamento del sheriff del condado de Monroe. Les estuvieron haciendo varias preguntas a los padres.
The meeting opened with dinner. Lourdes Roa presented an update on the Code of Conduct Review Committee. She discussed the purpose of the Code of Conduct Review Committee to review the policy. This year, one addition to the current policy was to create a mini shortened version of the longer current one. This shortened version will make it easier to read and understand for everyone using it. Next, Deputy Ruiz and Sergeant Vosler discussed the relations with Monroe County Sheriff's Department. They asked parents what comes to their minds when they hear police.
Un padre comentó que es necesario que haya una conexión más estrecha entre la autoridad y la comunidad local. Mencionó que cuando era joven la policía era parte de la comunidad local y participaba en eventos deportivos locales con los niños. El sheriff y el departamento de policía local están intentando crear más conexiones con la comunidad. Los agentes recalcaron que ningún policía deberá pedirles su documentación. Mencionaron que cualquier ciudadano puede solicitar intérprete en el momento si es necesario. Alguien preguntó sobre los derechos de la cuarta enmienda. No se puede pedir una identificación sin ningún motivo. La policía debe indicar el motivo por el que solicitan la identificación. La ley dice que no podemos entrevistar a niños sobre un delito sin un padre presente. También se le informó a los padres lo que deben de hacer si la policía los detiene mientras conducen.
One parent commented that there needs to be a closer connection between law enforcement and the local community. She mentioned that when she was young, police would be a part of the local community and they would participate in local sporting events with children. The sheriffs are trying to create more of this kind of connection. The local PD department too. The officers confirmed that no one should ever ask for documentation or if they are, quote unquote, legal residents. They mentioned that anyone can ask for interpreters if needed. Someone asked about Fourth Amendment rights. Can't ask for ID without a reason. People should tell the reason why they are asking for ID. The law says we cannot interview children about a crime without a parent.
Actualmente, el Departamento del Sheriff está asistiendo a reuniones con grupos comunitarios locales para recopilar información y comenzar a integrarse más con la comunidad. El diputado Ruiz actualmente está trabajando para ayudar a integrar las familias recién llegadas a nuestra comunidad. Carmen Torres habló de la agenda infantil, animó a los padres a compartir sus puntos de vista y necesidades para que el distrito escolar pueda comprender mejor las necesidades de las familias. La reunión terminó a las 6:45. Continuamos colaborando con PLAC y CIPAC y quiero añadir que nos tomó por sorpresa la noticia del superintendente en medio de tantos cambios que están sucediendo. Queremos saber cuáles son los próximos pasos a seguir que tomará la Junta. Solicitamos que las familias estén involucradas e informadas de cada decisión que se tome. Les invitamos a nuestra próxima reunión el 9 de abril. Buenas noches y gracias.
The Sheriff's Department is currently attending meetings with local community groups like this one to gather information to begin integrating more with community groups. Deputy Ruiz is working to help integrate and assist families of new immigrants. They are happy to engage in sports at rec centers. They are happy to be invited. They encourage the invitations. Carmen Torres talked about the children's agenda. She encouraged the parents to share their views and needs so that RCSD can better understand the needs of the community. The meeting ended at 6:45. We continue to collaborate with both PLAC and CPAC. The news from the superintendent took us by surprise during so many changes that are happening. We want to know what the steps the board will take. We want families to be involved and informed of every decision that is made. We invite you to our next meeting on April 9th. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the board reports, and I'll start with Commissioner Patterson. I'm sorry. Forgive. Yep, sorry. Thank you. What is her name?
Hello? Yeah, this is
Hi.
Catherine from
Yeah,
CPAC.
Catherine.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you. I apologize for not being here in person tonight. Good evening, President Elliott, Commissioners, Superintendent Peluso, and other distinguished guests. My name is Catherine Baroth. I'm the Vice President of CPAC, and I have one scholar in the RCSD. He's my why for my involvement in CPAC. He's a sophomore at School 58. I also have one RCSD graduate. The Special Education Parent Advisory Council, or CPAC, held their monthly meeting on Monday, March 18th via Zoom. We had approximately 40 people in attendance. The Special Education Department, in particular Chief Swan, has committed to presenting on various important topics at our monthly CPAC meetings to provide education and important information to our families. Teaching parents and caregivers about the special education process is critical because it can be overwhelming for many. We help our families to be better advocates for their children. This is a win-win for all. At our March meeting, the Special Education Department updated our attending parents and caregivers on the reconfiguration plan. We would like to thank them for taking the time to present this to us. This information was very valuable to our families. CPAC would like to take a moment to address the elephant in the room. Personally, I've been a district parent for 16 years. I've lost count of the number of superintendents we have had in that amount of time. While the change has not been as frequent, there have also been too many special education chiefs to count. In an effort to understand the strained relationship between the RCSD and district parents and caregivers, Chief Swan asked CPAC leadership to elaborate on how this relationship devolved. While I will not go into the contents of that conversation, we are staring straight in the face of a key reason parents have lost faith and trust in the district. Leadership does not stick around to provide a consistent path in the education of our children, and the board does not support the people they hire. Every year or two, someone leaves, either pushed out by the board, unable to work with the board, or chasing bigger fish. Our families are left wondering, who really cares enough about our kids to truly transform this district? Or worse yet, families are left thinking, no one believes in our kids enough to stick around. All they see is failure. They can't handle us. They don't even want to try. They gave up on us. This is how many parents feel. This is the message the constant turnover sends. The district's reconfiguration plan, which was rolled out way too quickly and without the input of those who would be impacted, is supposed to happen between this year and next. These changes significantly impact the district's most vulnerable scholars, those children who need services from the district, and in particular, those students in need of specialized classrooms, many of which will be experiencing upheaval. Now, the leadership that implemented this change is leaving. Parents are left wondering, what is next? We're exhausted. We are tired of all of this turnover. We are tired of a dysfunctional board. We are tired of decisions being made that directly affect us and our children without asking for our input. It seems pretty obvious to us why parents disengage, not from parent groups, but from the district itself. Here we are with yet another change in leadership. Lather, rinse, repeat. Commissioners, we know you cannot make someone stay. What can you do? Hire someone fantastic and then support them. While you're at it, ensure that you lead by example in elevating the parent voice. Commissioner Elliott, thank you for reaching out to parent groups yesterday. It was duly noted. We look forward to that conversation. Dr. Peluso, CPAC had high hopes for your administration. We are left extremely disappointed that we are walking this path yet again. We are tired of being disappointed and let down. CPAC's next meeting will take place via Zoom at 6 p.m. on April 15th, 2024. If you are not already on our mailing list, please email us at rcsdsepac@gmail.com and we will add you. Those on our list are automatically emailed each month's Zoom link. Now, normally here, we would wrap up our monthly report to the board. But instead, we would like to insert that this administration and this board have been absent from our meetings, with the sole exception being the outstanding participation of the special education department, as well as any departments that may have presented to our families. This is part of the problem. Not only does the administration constantly change, but they do not go out of their ways to listen to the parent voice. Our meetings are via Zoom. We make it easy for our families to attend. You can pop in and listen while you drive, while you make dinner. We're not asking the board and the administration to participate. We're asking you to listen to our families. Where have you been? You've received the link every month. Just taking this step of attending any of the district-wide parent group meetings and listening would make such a difference. Finally, we would like to remind you of the date of our second annual Special Education Resource Fair, which will be held on Saturday, September 14th, 2024, from 10 to 1 at School 33. CPAC and the Special Education Department are collaborating to bring this very important resource fair to our families once again. We hope that each board member will save the date and attend this significant event on behalf of our families. In the meantime, we hope to see you at our next meeting on the 15th of April. Thank you. For any questions, please reach out to rcsdsepac@gmail.com. Good evening.
Thank you, and thank you for all the reports that were just presented. And so we'll now go into the next item on the agenda, which is the board reports, and I'll go to Commissioner Patterson to present the audit committee report. Commissioner Patterson.
Thank you. My name is Commissioner James Patterson, fact-checked, New York State certified teacher, and chair of the audit committee. Regarding the audit committee report for the March 28, 2024 business meeting, the audit committee of the whole convened on Tuesday, March 19, 2024. The Auditor General discussed the results of a student equity and placement review with 15 recommendations, and a transportation audit with 19 recommendations on changes. Management provided action plans and proposed due dates for implementing the corrective actions to the audit recommendations. I am requesting a motion to accept the student equity and placement and the transportation reports.
So moved.
President Elliott, and seconded by Commissioner Simmons. Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The next audit committee meeting is scheduled for June 4th, 2024. Drescher and Malecki, the external auditor, will attend to discuss the audit plan for the June 30th, 2024 final audit. This concludes my report.
Commissioner Patterson, the next report is ESA. Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you, President Elliott. Commissioner Camille Simmons, the Equity and Student Achievement Committee of the Whole met on Tuesday, March 12th. During this meeting, the board reviewed and accepted the minutes from the February 27th Equity and Student Achievement Committee meeting. During this particular meeting, Director Alicia Thomas of Expanded Learning provided an annual summer school presentation outlining the plan for the RCSD's 2024 summer learning as well as funding challenges.
Deputy Superintendent Strickland provided a teaching and learning update around Q2 graduation projections. The focus of this presentation was the 2020 cohort. Lastly, Stephen Lamort, Chief Academic Officer, provided a presentation on the course catalog, including a brief virtual tour of the course catalog webpage. The next ESA, or Equity and Student Achievement Committee, meeting will take place on Tuesday, April 16th at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons, for that report. And the next report is the Community and Intergovernmental Relations Committee by the Chair, Commissioner Santiago.
Thank you, President Elliott. The CIGR Committee held its annual legislative breakfast on Saturday, March 2nd at the Memorial Art Gallery. During the breakfast, we had 70 participants who attended, including the Rochester Board of Education commissioners, elected officials, district administration, students, parents, and key stakeholders to discuss the Rochester Board of Education legislative priorities. This year's theme was Invest in Tomorrow. I'd like to give a special thank you to the Solar Jazz Group from School of the Arts, all of our speakers, the communications team, of course, our board staff who did an amazing job with this event, our parent representative, and the Memorial Art Gallery for hosting us. In our efforts to create opportunities to improve relationships and communications within our district, we'll be hosting reflective conversations with the Board of Education on Saturday, April 13th, 2024. This event will take place at Wilson Foundation Academy from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We are looking to listen actively and engage in two-way discussion to address concerns and improve outcomes in our community. This event is open to all RCSD parents, students, and community members. I would love to see you there on April 13th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Wilson Foundation Academy. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Santiago. The next report is the Finance Committee report. Vice President is running late, who chairs the Finance Committee, so I will give her report. The Finance Committee did not convene this month. Later this evening, the State Monitor will present his analysis of the 24-25 budget, which was postponed due to the district's emergency closure on March 20th. And we will now invite Chief Financial Officer Sean Farr to present the March 2024 financial report. Chief?
Thank you, President Elliott. For the financial report for the month ended February 29th, there we go. On the first page, you'll note that the ending cash balance as of the end of the month was $324 million, which is $134 million more than the previous year. So it's a substantial increase in 1 year, and that specifically relates to the impact of the federal stimulus funds coming into the district. If you go to the second page, you'll notice at the top there we have some changes coming in to the general fund balance, and you'll see that $11 million of fund balance that was approved by the board, and that is specifically for the implementation of Invest in Tomorrow. The next item down is we continue to have strong investment returns. So for the month, we had $1.1 million in investment earnings. Going down to the next bulleted section there, special aid increases. There's a grant that the district received, $606,000. And this is a competitive grant that came from the state. It's a $100 million 2-year allocation. And this is, it's called, the acronym is RECOS, which is Recover from COVID School Program Grants. And we were fortunate enough to get $606,000. This is specifically a grant to address student well-being through expanded mental health supports that we've already been investing in and will continue to do so. If you go down to the bottom of that page, I would highlight that you get the column, the general fund column at the bottom there, and you go down, you'll see $16 million appropriated from fund balance, and that's the combination of the budget for this year was budgeted using $5 million from fund balance, and then the board has approved an additional $11 million to implement Invest in Tomorrow. Go to the top of the third page. This is tracking expenditures, and you'll see that as of February 29th, the general fund had remaining available $326 million, which is 36.9% of the overall budget, and we were 2/3 of the way through the fiscal year, so we're tracking quite well on the expenditure side of the budget. Going down to the category E and the ARP column, you'll see that the ARP funding, American Rescue Plan funding, was budgeted at $196 million, and we have $47 million remaining. This grant goes through September 30th of this year, and we have a plan in place to expend all of those funds before the conclusion of the grant. Go to page 4. Under the capital project section, item H, there you go. You'll see that this is the first allocation, the $11 million that the board approved. $6,375,000 of that has been put into the capital fund, and this is to start work that is occurring right now for the planning and the moving of schools, and specifically the opening of new middle schools for the 24-25 school year. The item H, school service fund, food service is still strong through January 31st. We're always reporting a month behind on food service. There was a surplus of $551,000. And going down to the last item, J, charter school enrollment, as of March 1st, which is a payment date for us, we paid on 7,709 students. Right now, we're projecting a total expense for the year of $112 million on a budget of $115 for a surplus of $3 million. Are there any questions?
Take over, make the motion. Okay. All right. Hearing no questions, at this time, can I have a motion to approve the district's unaudited March 2024 financial report?
So moved.
Moved by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Malloy. All right. All right. Thank you, Chief R.
All those in favor?
Oh, excuse me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Chief R. The next report is the Human Capital report. Commissioner Malloy?
Thank you. Good evening. The Human Capital Committee met as a committee of the whole on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. The Human Capital Committee discussions focused on the following items. We reviewed and accepted the minutes from the January 23rd, 2024 HC Committee of the Whole meeting. The board reviewed and discussed the drafted 2024-2025 RCSD school calendar. Chief Miller presented the Teach Rochester and staff effectiveness updates, including our vacancy update, as well as the professional performance review process. The board then voted on a very generous gift resolution from the Rochester Museum and Science Center for the total solar eclipse classes. Our next Human Capital Committee of the Whole meeting will be Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, and that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no policy committee report, and so the last report is mine, and I will just be brief about it. Once again, want to congratulate all the young women who received the Susan B. Anthony Leadership Award. Just want to thank again some of our great community leaders. Dr. Chanel Hawkins, who's CEO of the Urban League, who was awarded at night, as well as the Reverend Dr. Iris Bannister in memoriam, who have done great work in this community. And then just want to congratulate Dr. Peluso on his new assignment. He's done great work here, and we are honored and blessed to have the work that he's done for us. There will be, in the future, information on the superintendent search, and we'll keep the community posted on that. We've done a lot of interviews around that. And then there are, one of the things that I wanted to do is to get together the board members of color in the county to see how we can work together to deal with the issues that some of our people of color board members are going through in the county. We had that meeting. It was a great success of a meeting and hearing some of the issues that they're going through. And so we plan to continue that work, and more information on that to come. And then just a lot of other meetings and just a lot of other meetings. So that concludes my report. And then I'm going to go down to the next item on the agenda is the Superintendent Peluso's report. Dr. Peluso?
Thank you, President Elliott. Good evening to you, Vice President LeBron, Board Commissioners, our students, families, staff, all watching on social media this evening. I'm going to give my superintendent's report for the month of March. So I'm sorry I missed this morning, this evening's celebration for Women's History. I was watching online, and tonight we celebrated Women's History Month and our talented students with a 4.0 GPA or higher. Congratulations on all of your academic and civic achievements. I hope everyone takes time this month to honor the important women in their lives. I recently attended a meeting with representatives from the United States Department of Education at the White House. I was joined on the trip to Washington by our Chief of Communication, Marisol Ramos Lopez, Liliana Ruiz from the City of Rochester, and Simeon Bannister, the President and CEO of the Rochester Area Community Foundation. We were asked to share how we used our funding from the federal government to increase summer learning in our district. The ARP funding gave us the opportunity to offer programs at 26 different sites across the city last year. We collaborated with 14 community-based organizations while providing transportation and meals. It was an honor to be on the grounds of the White House representing our district and our city. All the buzz is around the solar eclipse, and we're excited to educate our students about the upcoming solar eclipse in April. And we enlisted the help of some of our local TV personalities to impress upon students how significant this event will be. Meteorologists Glenn Johnson, Scott Hesko, and James Gilbert visited the students across the district. During these presentations, all three gentlemen emphasized crucial safety measures, advising students to avoid direct eye contact with the sun. I'm happy to report that all students in the district are receiving a pair of eclipse glasses courtesy of the Rochester Museum and Science Center. Please remember to protect your eyes and use these glasses. Once again, our amazing students were on display at the Rock to Change Student Summit. I was so impressed with the power of the student voice in our district, and students from our local high schools showed their advocacy and their belief in social change. Unity Grows Community was the theme of this month's Rock to Change Student Summit at the BOCES in Spencerport. Students from our district engaged with fellow students from across Monroe County. They have been meeting monthly to collaborate on all aspects of planning, programming, and branding of this summit. If you haven't had a chance to see robotics teams in action, I will highly encourage it. 3 remarkable RCSD teams showcased their talents this month at the Finger Lakes Robotics Competition at RIT. Their creativity and skills is something I saw firsthand, and it is truly amazing to see how these students work. Among the 54 teams competing, we had our very own XQ Robotics team from Franklin, the Rock City Robotics team based out of Edison, and the Wilson XCats. It was a proud moment to see this dedication and student energy on display. I had the pleasure of reading to students at school number 7 on March 6th for Read Across America Week. This celebration honors authors Dr. Seuss, and Read Across America Week encourages reading and educates people about the benefits of reading to children and the impact it has on the learning. I want to thank all the volunteers who came out to read, including Commissioner Malloy and Commissioner Simmons, and several members of Central Office. Our exceptional senior all-star game, I want to congratulate the student athletes who participated in the exceptional senior all-star for boys basketball on March 7th at Pittsford Sutherland High School. Students from East, Franklin, Monroe, Wilson, Northeast, Early College, and School of the Arts were teammates with students from McQuaid. They played against seniors from the suburban schools around Monroe County. RCSD students were also selected by Section 5 to play in the Ronald McDonald All-Star basketball game that was held last weekend at Gates Chili High School. I would like to thank the Ortiz family for giving back to our school community despite tragedy in their personal lives. They lost their son, Gian, in 2017 at the tender age of 2 after a 5-month stay in the neonatal intensive care unit. To honor his memory, they have partnered with the Rochester Education Foundation to donate books each year to students in the grades that Gian would have been attending. This year, they chose the 3rd grade class at School 9, where Gian's father, Orlando, was once a student. The family donated more than 60 books to honor their son's love of reading. Learning inside a whale. Imagine studying inside a 40-foot replica of a life-size whale. That is the experience that students at school number 45 had on Monday of this week. Thanks to philanthropist David Beck and his SMILE program administered by the Rochester Educational Foundation. The Whalemobile allows students to experience marine life in an unforgettable way. The Whalemobile will visit 7 RCSD schools, and more than 2,600 students will have benefited from this unique learning opportunity. As Commissioner Santiago mentioned, next month, the Board of Education is welcoming families to gather and talk about what matters most to them at a community engagement event. I hope everyone will join as we collectively reflect on how to enhance outcomes for all students on Saturday, April 13th from 10 to 12 at Wilson Foundation Academy. For more information, you could register at www.rcsdk12.org/BOE Talk. I am grateful to Senator Cooney for inviting me to celebrate Ramadan. Collaborating with the Turkish Cultural Center, Senator Cooney's office organized a complimentary Ramadan iftar dinner at the Lake Riley Lodge at Cobbs Hill Park. I was honored to stand with him as we foster inclusivity for all. A lot going on in the month of March. We launched our Teach Rochester Recruitment Ambassador Program on Tuesday of last week. This is one of the key initiatives to actively recruit educators. We are looking for members of the public to join us as volunteers. Ideally, these are individuals who can leverage their experience and networks to help recruit and retain RCSD staff members. We're asking community members to fill out a survey at www.rcsdk12.org/Teach Rochester. We are so fortunate to have amazing social workers dedicated to helping our students navigate through school and life. Their tireless efforts ensures that students receive high-quality learning experiences while addressing complex social-emotional needs, both in and out of the classroom. We are honored and appreciate their commitment as this month we celebrate National School Social Worker Week. We had a great fall season. We also had a great winter season in Section 5 sports. Congratulations to two of our outstanding coaches for receiving top honors for leading their basketball programs. Joe Jackson and Brenda Tapper have been named Coaches of the Year by Section 5. Yep. Joe is the boys coach at Franklin, and Brenda is the varsity girls coach for Edison, World of Inquiry, and School Without Walls team. And now I'd like to give you an update on the progress with Invest in Tomorrow. We are continuing to have meetings with Vargas Associates that are helping with the moves. They're completing move plans and project management plans to make sure that all moves are completed and ready to go for the start of the school year. We're also spending time meeting and walking the buildings with our middle school principals that have been identified, and they are continuing to meet weeklies. We have a bidder, which I had mentioned was a concern when we were talking about the potential of finding someone to help make some renovations to School 45. We did receive a bidder, and we have that in progress so that we're able to move our students and make sure the accommodations are perfect at School 45. In terms of middle school planning, we're excited that our middle schools will be expeditionary learning schools, and we've had consultants on site offering principal training and programming to the principals. We are doing our master schedules, and we're in the final stages of the master schedules, and we are, once again, based on the MOA that we created with the unions, we are beginning interviews and selecting our staff for the middle school. So we're holding group interviews, and the middle school principals are putting in a tremendous amount of time to make sure that they are getting ready for opening. And then school placement as well, student placement is in the final stages. And for the lotteries, letters are going to be sent mid-April, so in a couple of weeks. And then we are still continuing to review student placement as well as withdrawals of students as they come in. And after months of extensive collaboration and feedback with students, families, staff, and the community, tonight is, you have in front of you, and you see in your resource tab, the strategic plan for review and acceptance. As you know, we've revisited our mission, our vision. We have our board goals in there. So this really will help us as we move forward over the next 5 years. The plan can be found on the website at www.rcsdk12.org/strategic plan. And as you know, this started process back in July of last year, and hope that this will guide us as a blueprint for the future. And that concludes my superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Peluso. Are there any questions for Dr. Peluso? All right, thank you. The next report is from Superintendent Blocker.
Good evening, President Elliott, Vice President LeBron, commissioners, and all others that are here or watching over social media. I am proud to share slides on some of the events East scholars and staff have participated in since our last meeting. Our New York State Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute took place in Albany. East Hispanic scholars met at the Monroe County Legislative Building as they prepared for their trip to advocate in Albany. These scholars worked hard to represent East as well as the RCSD as they talked to the Assembly to argue their bills. They exemplify future leaders of our world. The mock trial team of East and Virtus was combined. East scholars participated in this. They had 3 competitions to hone their skills as future courthouse members. They learned how to show their quick thinking and teamwork. I am incredibly proud to announce that Mr. Logan Newman, our vision care teacher, has received the Jefferson Award from ESL and News 10 NBC. He is an individual that has provided excellent community service with the East Vision Care Program to make sure that children in Rochester have eyeglasses and are prepared for what they need with education. Congratulations, Mr. Newman. The Rochester Arc and Flame Center, our East NYSA scholars went on a field trip to the Rochester Arc and Flame Center. The mission there is to provide exciting and innovative classes for people of all skill levels and expose them to TIG welding, plasma welding, glass fusing, and blacksmithing. Our Worlds Connect. Our teaching and learning scholars attended the first of 4 experiences as part of the Our Worlds Connect project. Together with students from the Walden School, our scholars explored how the environment affects education. In the spirit of creating a healthy social environment, the students literally and figuratively broke bread together by preparing a delicious meal cooked over an open fire. This past week, students from the Walden School came and toured East. We had our second annual Pies Day that took place to honor a wonderful educator, Mrs. Shana Pies, that passed away from brain cancer. A scholarship has been established in her name, and this year, $1,900 was raised by either throwing a pie at a beloved East adult or eating a slice of pie donated by so many. It was a great memory to keep Miss Shana Pies alive. The Finger Lakes Youth Apprentice Program Annual Signing Day, 20 scholars from East signed up for paid co-ops or job shadows at companies in the city of Rochester and surrounding areas. In addition to jobs, some scholars qualified for dual enrollment classes at Monroe Community College, and all participants developed the soft skills through the program's Matching Day interviews. At East, we strive to positively impact the future for all scholars through both college and career readiness. We'd like to thank Applied Images, Gleason, L3 Harris, Optimax, OptiPro, Qualitrol, and Yamtap for supporting this event. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Superintendent Blocker. Are there any questions for Superintendent Blocker?
No, but I'd like to make a statement, if I may.
Is this in reference to her report?
Yes.
Okay, because if it's not, then I'm going to ask you to delay it till we get down to the other part of the agenda, so.
Well, I'll begin. If you don't want me to say it, then you just cut me off. That's fine. But what I'd like to say is congratulatory. So the U of R, East High, Dr. Nelms, Superintendent Blocker, Deputy Superintendent Katerina Leone Menino. Superintendent Blocker, if you could say something relative to, I think the public would like to hear how you're coming out of receivership as of June, is it, or July? The upper school?
Yes. The upper school will be exiting receivership at the end of this school year. We have met demonstrable indicators and shown growth with ESSA requirements.
Thank you and congratulations again.
All right. Commissioner Santiago?
Yeah, I do have a question. So we just came out of receivership. Do you know like roughly how long that took to get the school out of receivership?
8 years,
Okay.
6 months.
And then with that, to the superintendent, do you have an example or a thought on how long it usually takes for the district to pull the school out of receivership?
So, this has been an interesting time because of COVID, so I do want to be fair where accountability was what we said, accountability purgatory, right? Where schools weren't able to move out of accountability status. East, I believe, it was a cohort 1 receivership school. So we have some cohort 2 receivership schools. School 19, for example, was a cohort 2 receivership school. They will be exiting receivership as the end of this year as well. So, some of the cohort 1 schools, especially the secondary schools, had a little bit of a pause on it for some times, but we've had some of our cohort 2 schools get out of receivership within a 3 to 5 year window at times. But the cohort 1 did have this accountability freeze.
And is that with around the same funding that we've provided to East, or is that with regular? Like, what are we applying extra funding to these schools? How are we getting those schools out of receivership?
So in receivership schools that are in district, we try to support through extra hourly pay. We usually look to them for grant funds to use for additional money. There's accountability money that comes based on your accountability status. So if a school has extra accountability money, they would use that as leverage for additional pay to do that. We do support with titles and grants to make sure that they get the support they need.
And roughly how much have we invested in the East High School and the East School?
So the East contract, which is available for everyone to read, is about a $23 million investment a year, right? So that's what's currently out there.
And roughly these schools that you said that you've brought out of receivership, how much roughly is invested into that? Is it around 23 or 23 million, or what's the investment?
I think there is a different structure for East that has some different parameters around it. As we know, they operate as a separate district, so they have a separate mechanism and governance structure that obviously adds some additional costs.
And then my question, and this is my final question to Superintendent Blocker. So 23 million overall. How much have U of R invested in that 23 million? And this is the final question, and I'm done. Thank you.
U of R has invested countless hundreds of dollars in support of scholars with in-kind contributions.
But is there a dollar amount that you guys are giving up front, or is this just in kind? Or is the district just investing everything? This is broad questions, but
All right, because we do have it on the agenda, and we can put it at that point and ask the questions at that point. But this is just her report for the month of
yeah,
March.
absolutely.
Okay.
I'll ask the rest later. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Superintendent Blocker? Thank you, Superintendent. So we will go down to the resolutions, and I'll start with the resolutions. These are the consent agenda resolutions, and so if everybody's okay with it, let me just also say, even if we bundle these resolutions, there is the opportunity to ask questions. We just want to try to be as efficient as we can. So can I get a motion for resolution 668 through 671?
Motion.
Moved by Vice President LeBron. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Simmons. Any questions or comments related to resolution 668 through 671? Hearing none, all those in favor? Did somebody raise their hand? No. Oh, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Can I get a motion for resolutions 672 through 679?
Motion.
Moved by Commissioner Santiago, seconded by the Vice President. Any questions or comments related to resolutions 672 through 679?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, thank you. I'm looking at particularly Resolution 675, and I recognize that, General Counsel, you might want to guide me, but I want to make sure I don't overstep, because I recognize where we are as far as literacy. You all know that's like my passion. All of it is, but I want to know more particularly around what are our expectations around certificated, because we're trying to make sure that our teachers at the instructional core are properly certificated and that they're getting letters, training, and things of that nature. So this is a particular position that will be extremely pivotal in that expansion of literacy in our district. And so I don't want to ask about am I okay right now? Because I know it's like all these technicalities.
Yeah, I think we should go into executive.
So is that an executive session?
If you want to talk about the position and the importance of the position, I'd be able to talk about that. If
Yeah,
you're
no, I
talking
wanna
about the
ask more
special
about details,
qualifications, then we could talk about executive session.
So executive session is fine,
That's an
thank you.
executive
So
session
how do I
topic.
lift that to ensure that we talk about that? Because I would like to do that,
Well,
not
well,
now, but.
If the intent is to discuss it tonight, I think when the motion for executive session is made, just include personnel matter.
Remove that,
Yeah.
you have to tell me which resolution that is so that we can remove it from the vote.
Yeah, so Resolution 675.
So, so the intent is not to vote on it right now, to wait until after executive
Right,
session?
just to get
Okay.
some proper understanding.
Okay.
Clear, is it a legal matter or it's not an HR matter, Commissioner?
I just want to vote carefully. I wouldn't say it's not, for me, it's not HR, but it's more technical to the
Okay.
position, and I want to make
Understood.
sure I'm respectful.
Commissioner Malloy?
Yeah, just this is in regard to number 672, just the school calendar. It's a comment more than anything, and I know we had this discussion at the HCI committee earlier this week. I would love to see in the future us recognizing Eid al-Fitr, which is, I think a lot of our students celebrate this holiday, and I think in recognition of that, there are other districts that have this off and with much smaller Muslim populations, and if that's something that can be talked about in the future, I think that would be a great service to a lot of our students and their families. Thank you.
Any other questions? And General Counsel, let me just make sure I'm doing this right. We're not going to be voting on Resolution 675. Does there need to be an amendment?
Right, I just withdraw it and just say 673 through 679, except for 675.
Do I need to make another motion?
Yeah, I just made the motion, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so, so the motion, the other motion just sort of fails?
Just withdraw it.
Okay, so I'll withdraw that motion regarding 672 through 679. And then, yeah, I see you. And then I will entertain another motion. Commissioner Patterson?
Again, for the general public, I ask my questions here relative to just being fiscal responsible, not relative to being argumentative at all. So my
Commissioner, let me just.
my question relative to 674 and 675, are these new positions, Executive Director of Integrated Literacy and Executive Director of Student Equity and Placement? Are these new positions? Are they directors that have been raised up to, you know, from a director to an executive director? Could you explain these two positions?
Yep, absolutely. Yep, thank you. So the student and equity and placement is a current director position that we are elevating from the executive director position. It's one of the moves that we've made and was part, I think you were mentioning it in your report about the student placement report that the Auditor General gave us. One of the recommendations is the structure around student placement, so that's part to address that. So it is not adding a position, it is changing a director to an executive director. Yep.
And in doing so, and then correct me if I'm wrong, because from what I researched so far is that if you elevate that position from, you know, a director to an executive director, that same individual is getting a $10,000 or receiving a $10,000 raise. Am I correct in that or incorrect?
There is a stipulation in the contract that if from a director to an executive director, that there is an incremental raise of 5%, I believe is what the ASAR contract says.
All right, so let me just go back to, we've withdrawn the first motion, and so now I want to make another motion for Resolution 672 through 679, withdrawing Resolution 675. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Moved by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Simmons. Are there any other questions or comments related to these resolutions, with the exception of Resolution 675? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? All right, so we'll go into.
Opposed.
Okay, thank you. So one opposed for all of those, Commissioner Patterson?
No, at this point in time for 674 and 675.
All right, thank you. All right.
Didn't vote on 675, just so you're clear, Commissioner Patterson. You only voted on 674.
We're only voting on 674 right now. We're going into executive session for 675.
All right, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Voted on 672, 673, 674.
I know what I said.
No,
Yeah.
no, okay.
Yeah, he was voting on 675, but it's withdrawn until we talk about it in executive session. Yeah. So that is, you have withdrawn that vote on that. You're not voting on 675 right now.
Correct.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
What is actually being, what is voted on, what is not. I think
That's what Amy was trying to.
Through 679 minus, we're withdrawing Resolution 675.
And I thought it was 676 as well. No, just 675?
Just 675.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion for resolutions 680 through, did we vote on that? Everybody voted on the other, all right. Resolutions 680 through 682. And let me just point out that the 680 resolution is the resolution where we have entered into an agreement with the University of Rochester to pay consulting fees. This is not the conversation for the EPO. Just want to clear that up. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy. Is there, seconded by Commissioner Simmons. Any questions or comments related to Resolution 680 through 682?
I would like it to be noted for the record that resolution number 680, it is unprecedented for the board to request an addendum to an agreement to be turned into a resolution for approval. I do not know why the RCSD purchase order request process was deviated from for this singular instance.
Thank you, Superintendent Blocker. Superintendent Paluso?
So I do want, I'm going to ask council to speak on that because it was a discussion that we had around bringing that forth.
The U of R contract has provisions in there for the payment for services to the U of R. That does reference the CFO making those approvals. Historically, it has not arisen to the board. But the board approves everything over $35,000. If the board wants to see it and approve it, that is within the board's authority. Historically, it has not gone to the board. It has gone through our purchasing process. But the provision is stated in the contract.
If I can also say, since I've been here, I didn't even know that we were paying this kind of money out in consulting fees to the U of R because it did not come before the board. Because if it had come before the board, there would have been different conversations earlier. So any other questions, any comments related to this?
Yes, I want to make another comment also. I want to point out in reference to some of the previous questions that East went from 19% to 86% graduation rate in 8 years. We are 2.4% of the RCSD budget, and we have 5% of the RCSD students. So I just want to say, put that out.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments related to Resolution 680 through 682? Hearing none, all those in favor?
President Elliott? Yeah, I just have a quick question. Can you repeat who motioned and who seconded on this bundle?
Vice President, Commissioner Malloy, and then who seconded? Was that you? Yeah. Yeah, all right. All right. Okay. So now this is money that we've entered into agreement with, so it has to be paid. So we cannot vote on it. We have to vote on this one. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Can I get a motion for Resolution 683 through 689? Motion by Commissioner Santiago, seconded by Commissioner Malloy. Any questions or comments related to Resolution 683 through 689? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, is there a resolution? Can I get a motion for Resolution 690?
Motion.
Motion by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Santiago. Any questions or comments related to Resolution 690?
I'm sorry. I apologize. So you did the ones for the operation and facilities already? Yes. Okay, because I had a question on that, because I'm looking, I know I was previously at a contracts meeting, and I'm seeing everything here, but is there a reason why we still don't see Franklin's on here for the renovations?
No, no.
Is there something that?
Superintendent Paluso.
So these are contracts for renovations that are currently underway, payments are going there. Franklin is FMP Phase 3. That's the work we're continuing on. That's the strategic plan that you're going to vote on tonight so that we're able to get that work in progress and planning.
All right. So was there a motion for Resolution 690? Was that you, Vice President? Who was the, and Commissioner Santiago? Any questions or comments related to Resolution 690? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there a motion for Resolution 691?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Simmons and seconded by Commissioner Santiago.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments related to Resolution 691? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion for Resolution 692 and 693?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Santiago. Any questions or comments related to Resolutions 692 and 693? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion for Resolution 694 through 698?
Motion.
Moved by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Santiago. Any questions or comments related to Resolution 694 through 698? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion for Resolution 699?
Motion.
Moved by Vice President LeBron. Is there a seconded by Commissioner Malloy? Any questions or comments related to Resolution 699? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion for Resolution 700 through 710.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy, seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments related to Resolutions 700 through 710? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion for Resolution 711 through 715? Moved by Commissioner Simmons. There a second by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments related to Resolutions 711 through 715? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there a motion for Resolution 716 and 717?
Motion.
Moved by Vice President LeBron. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Simmons. Any questions or comments related to Resolutions 716 through 717? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So I'm going to take the next resolution separately. I'm going to ask for a motion for Resolution 718.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, was that Commissioner Patterson? Any questions or comments related to Resolution 718? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm going to ask for a motion for Resolution 719.
Motion.
Motion by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Malloy. Any questions or comments related to Resolution 719? We'll start with Commissioner Patterson.
Yes, could you explain this one for me? It says conclusion of East EPO resolution, so I know
This
exactly
is
what I'm voting on.
Yep, this is the resolution to end the relationship with the University of Rochester. Any other questions or comments related to this? Commissioner Santiago?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, for the general public, that I'm definitely not for, ending this East EPO. I think that some of the individuals in the audience have spoke clearly this evening, about the way they felt about it. I think the East EPO is successful. I think the relationship with the University of Rochester is very important, and that we be able to extend out into the community to work with other colleges. But I think it's very important that, I even had a question relative to how many schools have successfully exited, receivership throughout the district. But like I said, when you have such success as this, and we have so many other important things that are priorities in this district, you can't, spend 100% or do things 100% correct when you have so many things that are spread out to work on. You can't be proficient in all those areas. So if East is working, this is for the general public, I ask that, again, I think they said it clearly that leave East alone for now. If you want to take a look at it in 3 years and come back at it and fold it back into the district, I think we'd have more time, to put a committee together, to evaluate this and just make sure it's the right thing to do. We cannot get this wrong. We cannot get this wrong. And I think we're just throwing the dice if we fold it back into the district.
Santiago. Commissioner Santiago. We're going to go down. I'm going to go down.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
So I want to just touch back, and then I'm going to finish this. $23 million in investment. How much is U of R investing in this partnership? It's upfront, not in kind. I'll ask about in kind, but how much is U of R investing as far as the dollar amount?
I guess I don't understand what the question is.
As far as the dollar amount, how much is U of R investing in this partnership?
They're not investing money into this partnership. They're investing capital for our kids. They're investing time. They're investing resources. So you're asking me to give a dollar amount on the multitude of things that happen, but there isn't a single dollar amount I can give for that.
Okay. So the investment has been, we're just going to look at the facts, and I'm just going to present the facts for what it is. The investment has only been on the district. We have gotten in-kind support from U of R. When this partnership first begun, U of R did not want to partner with the district. 5 years ago, when the district did pass an extension, U of R put in the contract that they believe in a year they'll be able to successfully transition this program back into the district. My question is, between when that contract was conversed into now, what is the difference with U of R's stance? I also want to say that if tonight, the ECPO is ended, I would like to propose, and I'll get this in writing, that the board creates an advisory board of community members, current students, former students, also current parents and former parents and community members to help advise and help the board as we transition the school back into the district, and as we as the board create guardrails into the transition of this school. This is something that can be through the Community and Intergovernmental Relations Committee, and the discussion can happen to ensure that we have community voice as we transition this school back into our district. I'll put this in writing, but this is something that I believe will be a good factor to incorporate community voice into this transition, to listen to the guardrails that the community would like to see, to listen to the successes that our community have experienced through this program. This is a small amount of the community here representing a bigger amount. And so that's my proposed idea, is that there is an advisory board created as the transition happens for the community to, for the board to listen to the community voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Santiago. I'll go down to Commissioner Griffin.
I know I've only been here for a short period of time, and I myself have not had the time to go through all the years that that the district has dealt with East. But I will say this: we have a broken system now. I don't see how we're going to be able to address the concerns of East right now when we have our own concerns right now. I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think that we should address the issues that we have right now that are relevant to the other schools that we need to address. There's a lot of schools that have been that are in receivership right now and have been in there over 8 years or plus, and they're not out of it yet. And I think that we have a lot of things that we need to address. I am for the East EPO. I think that I don't have enough information. I don't have enough information in order to go against something. I've only been here for a short period of time. And I would I would not be, I don't want to be in a situation down the road where it slaps me in the face because I missed something in fine print that wasn't privy to me. I have to have a trust in the system. And right now I don't trust. So if I don't have to trust, I can't trust anything that I hear because I don't know what's truthful and what is not truthful. And I think it's fair for me in my position to leave it alone if I can't cross my T's and dot my I's.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffin. Commissioner Malloy?
Thank you. Yeah, I sense a lot of it's very adversarial up here, and I don't think it needs to be. I think that U of R is a respected organization in this community, and I have a lot of respect for U of R, not just because I graduated from U of R. My own daughter went to East, and although she doesn't go there anymore, really made a lot of progress there in her literacy skills. And she had a lot of social emotional needs that were met there. And so culture is contagious. I respect the East model, and I value our relationship with the University of Rochester. And I would never want to say anything up here that would harm that relationship for the future that I know that we have with the U of R, not only in this community, but with our district and the good that they have provided us over the years. We have a viable model that is working, and it is a tough decision. And I want to see us honor that model and the investment that we have made over the years. And although tonight I will not be voting in favor of that, because I think that we have the ability to move this back under our supervision. And I make this decision, I hope with the understanding that we are going to honor the model and continue the model under our leadership. And what I would love to see moving forward with the University of Rochester is a commitment to early literacy in our district, and I hope that similar models can be created for our elementary school students, for our pre-K students, a partnership, a true partnership to help with our early literacy, which is where two of our main board goals that we've come up with address that literacy. And so again, I honor the model, and I think we do have a future with the U of R, and I would love to see these relationships continue in a positive manner. And I'm so grateful for what East did for my daughter. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Malloy. Commissioner Simmons?
Thank you, President Elliott. I've pretty much done the math, so I know where we are, but I'm going to just speak for myself and my position on this. And I do want to state that the decisions and the perspective that I come from is not emotionally driven. A lot of times when we make decisions that may not align with other decisions or thought process, it is said that like it's coming from an emotional space. And I want to be explicitly clear that this is a sober decision or thought on my end. I will say that I'm so disappointed because I think that one of the contentious parts of this partnership was like, meet us in the middle, give us some money up front, and let's make this happen. And that's not something that is possible. And so that was something that we wanted to see with the partnership, even having additional conversations in the community. That was something that we wanted to see happen. I recognize that there are some awesome things that have happened at East, and I'm sorry, I can't. Okay, have a good one. So back to what I was stating, we really wanted to see the partnership work. But when I look at the status of our district and all of the changes that are happening right now, I do have to stand in the same position I stood on for the reconfiguration, which was I wanted to see East continue. I want to see it continue. And I understand the fiscal responsibility. I lost my train of thought. Please forgive me. The fiscal responsibility that comes with it is a lot. But the collateral for our children, for me, is even more. So I would have liked to have seen this partnership continue for the 3 years, and then we would, absolve it and bring it back in, because I do not believe we are in a place of transition. So that is my position for this particular discussion.
All right, Vice President LeBron?
I don't think I need to make many comments, but I do just want to point out that on record that the New York State data exists, and it's open to the public, and folks can look up the New York State Department of Education, including board members, to get the numbers and the data points to show. And I do want to point out, though, that I do want to say there were a number of programs, for me that I knew already existed at East, including the culinary arts program, the optics programs. Those were programs that already existed and will continue to exist. So I want to be really clear, because I do think that some of the PR campaigns that the U of R themselves sort of pumped out sort of gave the impression to this community that these programs and these resources didn't exist currently at East. But what I will say is, of course, I'm voting yes to end the partnership. I want to be real clear. I've been clear about that since I got here. However, I do not want to just say that it's a cutoff. I do want to see what the plan actually will fully look like, and I want to be clear that the plan has to incorporate the voices both of the leadership at East and the staff that are there. And I do think that we owe them some level of autonomy, and that we look at what a contract moving forward potentially could look like, or some sort of protections for East with autonomy, because I do think that that's the greatest strength that you all do have as a school because of this contract, is the autonomy. It's letting you all, as the experts who are there, design the school and the curriculum and the work day-to-day operationally as you all as the experts. And what I personally will not support or allow is that we end the contract and that we pull that autonomy away from you all and we start dictating to you all what East looks like. So I will say to the staff and to you, Marlene, that is my commitment to you all personally, to ensure that we figure out a way to keep some autonomy for you all as we move forward. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. Commissioner Santiago had another comment.
Yeah, I just want to also just make sure that we do at least look at the work that the East EPO has done in the past few years and share appreciation. Although I won't be supporting the EPO continuing tonight, I do hope that there are some more large-scale partnerships that we have with U of R. And I will also be very critical and be looking at the process as we transition East back into our district to ensure that there's not instability, but that we're creating a school of success, and that we're continuing the success that the roadmap has created.
Thank you, Commissioner Santiago. There is no doubt in the work that the leadership has done at East, beginning with Dr. Nelms and then with Superintendent Blocker. If I would have, when we were discussing this years ago, I actually had a health crisis and could not focus as well as I wanted to. And I do know that then U of R President Joel Siegelman said that he would not support it if it did not have a unanimous vote. And so that was why I supported it. Now, haven't had the time to really look at it, if I had to do that vote over again, it would have been no, because it was too expensive. And when you look at other schools that are doing very well in our district, it did not need that kind of money in it per se. And when you look at the other monies that the other schools were getting, and there was some jealousy there that, how does East get this money and other schools do not? It was just unfair. I appreciate the work. I know that the work in this district is going to, at East, is going to continue if you love our children. So whether we have an EP or not, if people love our children, that work is going to continue. And so we have, as a board, have to look at our future financial position. And so that's what we have attempted to do. How are we going to move forward? We've got a lot of the COVID dollars, but when we look at the next generation who's going to steward this district and going to be a part of this district, we have to ensure that we leave it off in a healthy financial position for the next generation. And so for me, while I appreciate the work that has been done, I think it's time to bring the East High School back under the leadership of the Rochester City School District. And I'll just have David to say a few words. Got to hit it a little harder, David.
There we go. Good evening. If you don't know me already, my name is David Beyond. I'm a student representative for the Board of Education. I'm a 12th grader at Rochester Early College International High School. So I kind of want to give the student perspective on how students around the RCC think of the East EPO. So specifically, when the East EPO kind of came into effect, the state of the board at that time was kind of like in a nuclear warfare of a state, right? It wasn't the state of it's now. So when I look back and I think, right, like the East EPO or East in and of itself, like during this time as it got out of like, as they increased its graduation rate and stuff like that, they have like layered a lot of work down for restorative practices in the city that a lot of schools follow, right? A lot of the programs at East, a lot of schools do mimic in a way and reflect at their own schools, right? And those programs do work. However, the only caveat is that those schools aren't spending $22 million. The problem is that the U of R has given no money to the district to help with the East EPO. And from students who aren't at East, right, who kind of look at East from a different perspective, I've talked to a lot of students and I've asked them what they think of East. A lot of it's like, well, East has this, our school doesn't have this. East school has this, our school doesn't have this. I'm like, okay, why is that? With $22 million, you can do a lot, right? And when you don't have the board kind of guiding you in a way and you have your own autonomy, you can do a lot of stuff. So, I don't know, as a student, I want students to succeed because I know a lot of students at East who do great there. I've worked with a lot of them. I know there's great work at East, but I just see, we talk about East, we're not talking about U of R, right? The East is doing great by itself, but what is the U of R doing to support East? If it's a partnership with U of R and East, I don't see the U of R really partnering with them to the way I want to be seen. And so far, just kind of East with its own autonomy being very successful. I just don't see the idea or the point of having $22 million into a school with a lot of programs that are redundant or overused. And honestly, as I look through East in its EPO, I don't really see like itemized lists of what these funds are going to when it pertains to students. And when I ask the students how they feel about East, a lot of students like East, a lot of students don't like East. It's a very mixed, ground. So, if I had like an actual vote, I would vote no as well because I just don't see the point of having $22 million with no advisory when it comes to the board. So, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to call the question, and I'm going to...
I'd like to make some comments.
Okay.
First, I'd like to say failure is expensive. Not only expensive to the Rochester City School District, but to the Rochester community. So all of these people that are concerned about what's going on with the EPO and the 22 million or the 23 million, I'd love for them to articulate how many times they have come to East and what they are aware of that has taken place there. That's one thing I want to say. Second thing I want to say is the intention of the EPO was never for equality or equity. We were seeking justice for our kids. And it's really the same justice that everyone on this board and in this community should be seeking for every single child in Rochester. Justice only happens when the inequities that are going on are addressed and the systemic barriers are removed. And I said before, having the autonomy at East and having the governance outside of the RCSD has truly enabled us to overcome barriers from RCSD turbulence, continuous turnover, and numerous failed reforms. So, the bottom line is I will do and East will do whatever is best for kids. And I will support, and I have supported with Dr. Peluso, working on a transition plan, because there is nothing I want more for every single child to not only be sustained at where they're at, but to elevate where they're at, whether it's under the U of R, the RCSD, or Freddie Flintstone. I care about kids, and I put kids first. So while I support and respect everything that each individual has said, I just want to close by saying, I pray, after giving 8.5 years of my life, bringing my son to East to be a graduate and to be a part of it, I pray that the RCSD ripples that impeded progress before the EPO took over do not suddenly surface as huge waves that crash the positive course we have taken and the U of R has helped charter. I appreciate the East staff and families for always putting kids first. I appreciate all the in-kind things the U of R has done by putting kids first, and I 100% believe everyone on this board and Superintendent Peluso will continue to put all kids first and that we will work together. This is not about win or lose. It's about a win-win for kids, and we can't forget the kids in this. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will call the question. Let me start off with Commissioner Patterson, your vote. That's the vote, Commissioner Patterson. We're calling.
I know that. I'm just trying to
Okay.
be clear on what it says here so I don't misvote. So what I like to say, let's see, conclusion. So it would be a nay for me. I'm not for a conclusion of East EPO being done away with. So I hope that vote is
Yes.
proper.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Santiago?
Yay.
Commissioner Griffin?
Nay.
Commissioner Malloy? Commissioner Simmons?
No.
Commissioner Vice President LeBron? And my vote is a yay. So thank you for that. That concludes the resolutions, and then we will move to.
Can we tell you the vote? I didn't know what was. I couldn't hear yay or nays.
All right, so it carries that we will bring back in the East EPO into the school district, and the vote was, I believe, 4-3. That was the vote? All right, thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is the readings of the, are there any questions for the strategic plan? This is just a resource tab, right? So this is just we don't necessarily have to review this unless you all have any questions and want to, all right? And then we'll go down to the second reading. We have, let me just get to this. So I'm going to have you, General Counsel, if you could lead this.
Commissioner Griffin, I think we're in the second readings for the board bylaws, policy management 2410, special education, district plan policy 4200, parent involvement for parents of children with disabilities 4201, student with disabilities 4202, preschool education program 4203, allocation of space for special education program and services 4204, appointment and training of committee on special education CSE members 4207, appointment and training and committee on preschool special education 4208, and conditional appointment and emergency conditional appointment related to student safety 9260. Commissioner Griffin, you're in the meetings related to this. Do you have any comments as the board moves these through?
Sorry, Adrian. No, just the one, number one, but the rest are formality, especially when we're talking about SPED. So it's federally regulated. So everything but number one, which is 2300, which is part of the board bylaws, if everyone is in agreement with the others. And that would be actually 4200 to 4208.
Okay, can you help?
Yep, that's accurate. And Commissioner Griffin and board staff and myself did meet with the Director of Special Education and went over, all of these policies that are being recommended for the board, so they were very, very well vetted. I believe the next, the item related for the board for potential discussion is policy 2300 for the board bylaws. The policy language has been updated to allow for clarity on non-residents. The updated language can be found highlighted in blue in both the proposed track changes and clean copy of the documents. As a discussion starts related to proposed language, the board also needs to consider if the chair or board as a whole should be the determining factor on if a non-city of Rochester resident can speak. And I can comment on this briefly. So there was a change made in the bylaws really to limit speakers before the board to a city of Rochester residents. Within that policy, again, the initial language, a question was raised by a commissioner, what does resident mean? And so there was some clarification. There was some language changes to clarify that it's not talking about like immigration residents. It's talking about residents of the city itself. And within that language change, it empowers the chair to make an exception to that. I think Commissioner Griffin raised a point that you wanted to bring to the board for discussion regarding whether that decision should be left to the chair or should the board be making a decision as a body on whether to grant exceptions to that rule. So essentially, the language says now the chair of the meeting gets to decide whether an exception should be made to allow a non-city of Rochester resident to speak. The point that Commissioner Griffin raised was whether the board, in the alternative, would prefer that it not be left solely to the chair of the meeting, that the board as a body get to decide whether to grant that exception whenever it comes up.
So there were two parts to it. So you're explaining that the one part was for the chair and the other part was for the board to decide.
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure they understood that.
Any questions or with regard to this? All right, thank you.
So there's does the board have a preference on whether the chair gets to decide or whether the board as a body gets to decide on the exception?
Non-city resident. A non-city resident, yeah.
Can I speak?
Go ahead.
Who's chairing? Okay.
Go ahead.
My position is the full board because you don't know what you don't know, right? And so someone could be coming up to share some viable and valuable information. I'm all about City of Rochester residents, but it could be someone who just moved away. What about, you could have moved away. So I think we should just allow for the full board to weigh in on that.
Okay.
It's a full board.
Okay. Thank you.
I want to comment.
Go ahead, Beatrice.
Are these though for, I just want to point out, for a finance meeting, as the chair of finance, I would not want someone who is not a city resident or a parent or a family member from this district to come and speak on district finances. So for me, I personally want it to be up to the chair's discretion, and I just want to put that on record, but also the same could be for any of these committees. If it's up to the chair and you want to allow it in your meeting, so be it. It might align with your topic. Commissioner Santiago has community as one of his chairs, and so that is more Monroe County, right? So I do think it might align, but even to your table, committee, ESA, yeah, that might align with some experts from the county sort of weighing in
Yeah,
on the
that's
data.
this perspective I'm coming from.
Yeah, but I think that should then be left to you as the chair, not the full board weighing in on what we're doing, because one of the things that the chair can do is also plan the agenda, right? Sort of dictate how the conversation's gonna go, and it's sort of one of the very few things that you can do as an individual commissioner as the chair. So I just want to put that on record, that's all.
Noted, duly noted. So basically what you're saying, if I'm correct, Commissioner LeBron, is that you're saying each individual chair should get to decide if they want the public to speak at that time. Is that what you're saying? So I understand. I just want clarity.
No. So currently, there is a process for how members of the public sign up. And if you're signing up to speak to a committee versus the board meeting, there's two separate pathways. For board meetings, the general topics are accepted. So this is where we direct folks to come and speak at general topics. Specialty topics fall under the committees. So what I'm saying is, if there was a speaker that didn't reside in the city of Rochester who wanted to speak, they could reach out. And if we put it that it's the chair that gets to decide, that I'm sure that the clerk would then notify the chair to say, hey, so-and-so from Greece wants to come in and speak to this topic, but it's under your committee, that you have for me, that you have the authority to say, yes, I'm gonna allow that, or no, I don't think it matches with where I'm going with this subject, that's all. But I do think that if we made that for the full board, we then have to figure out how we're gonna vote every single time that comes up. And that will come up almost every single week. And so I just think long-term on how we make these decisions and what the ripple effect looks like, that's all.
Okay, that's an excellent point. So I think we should note it that we should just change the verbiage so that it states that the chair would be.
Right, so the language there already accomplishes exactly what Vice President LeBron put forward. And there is a section in there that talks about the board making specific invitees, right? So if the board is inviting someone from somewhere else, that's accounted for. So I think, Commissioner Griffin, the next step is a motion to accept the revised policy language.
I think Commissioner Santiago.
Oh, my apologies. Yep.
Go ahead, Commissioner Santiago, go ahead.
Is this specific to committee meetings, or is this specific to board meetings and special meetings, or is it all?
All meetings.
Okay, I thought that originally we were just specifically speaking about business and special meetings, but if we're also incorporating committee meetings with that, I would agree with Commissioner LeBron about allowing the chair to make that decision.
Yeah, I'm glad we have.
We're having a discussion because I wanted to bring it to the board. I didn't want to do that by myself because I didn't think that's something that should be done.
I was thinking of broader meetings, but the points that brought out the dialogue, no.
Totally in
let's
agreement
keep it
with that.
the chair.
Okay.
Yeah. So I believe the next step is a motion to accept the revised policy language under Section 2. Under Section 2, meeting of the Board of Education, Bullet K, general rule applicable to speakers as outlined in the board bylaws.
Motion.
Second.
Adrian, I don't know why you're reading this for me, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. Go ahead. As I didn't know why you were reading, but I'm okay. Read to the end.
All those, any questions or comments, all those in favor?
You just took my voice out my mouth. I ain't got no tongue no more. I'm all right with it. You good. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right. Okay. Thank you. So any other information or comments, Commissioner Griffin, that we need to have? I think that may be it, correct?
No, I think that is it. Thank you.
Thank you
Oh,
very-
You know what? I'm sorry. Hold on. No, that's it. That's it.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Thank you. So under new business, we're going to hear from our state monitor regarding the 24-25 budget presentation. State Monitor Alicia? Yeah, why don't you go with there? That's right. Yeah.
I will be standing up so all people can see me. Thank you. I have used that since I was a high school principal because most of my students were taller than me. So again, good evening, President Elliott, Vice President LeBron, Commissioners, Dr. Peluso, Superintendent Blocker, David, staff, in the audience, listeners on social media. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you the first feedback from Dr. Porter, the financial consultant, and myself on the budget documents that we received on March 1st, and the new budget book that we received on March 20th. The chapters, a little back. The chapter 56 of the laws of 2020 requires the Board of Education to annually submit the district proposed budget for the following year to the state monitor by March 1st. This was accomplished this year. The monitor must review the proposed budget to ensure it is balanced within the context of the revenue and expenditure estimate, mandated programs, and to ensure that it is consistent with the approved academic and financial plan that was approved by the board and the state. I can honestly say that based on feedback that I received from previous year in the district, I want to give compliment to the superintendent, Dr. Peluso, because this is the first time that there is a true budget process in the district. In the past, people submitted papers to the budget department and they put the budget together and they presented that to the board. This year, Dr. Peluso had a committee, and that included the superintendent, the chief financial officer, the chief of staff, the financial advisor, myself, and we had the opportunity to listen to budget presentation from all the chief and directors in the district. Those budget presentations needed to be aligned with the district goals, the academic and financial plan, the special education consent decree, and the bilingual education work languages corrective action plan. So again, congratulations for that extra step that was taken this year. Also this year, the finance department, CFO, put a new budget book together. And I want to give also credit to CFO FAR and the budget department for the new format. The new format, it is aligned with the state education accounting system, so it is going to be easier and faster for the finance department to submit documents and report to the state education department. In this book, you can see the function and the object for every account in the district. Also, the books include a new section on area profiles. In this section, the board, elected officials, and the public will see information and overview of the department and how much money has been allocated and budgeted for that department. Conversations last year, people were asking, how much money are we investing in special education? Now they can go to the book and they can see that the district has budgeted $173 million for special education next year. If they want to know about bilingual education and world languages, they will see that the district has budgeted $31 million for that. If they want to see about transportation, they can see that the district has budgeted $73 million for that. So again, I want to say thank you to the superintendent and the CFO for listening to the feedback that was given last year. The budget book, going back 1 year, was developed taking into consideration the priorities from the Board of Education, stakeholder feedback, the strategic plan, the academic and the financial plan, the consent decree, special education, corrective action, and bilingual education. So all those areas are included in the budget for next year. In the new budget, the initiative, again, are aligned with those that I said before, and the board approved in January some goals, and you can see that one of the priorities is to continue to increase ELA and math proficiency in the district. Is to address, like parent and grandparents said, attendance in the district. It's about increasing extended learning opportunities for students and staff, updating the district-wide comprehensive programs, materials, textbooks, and assessment tool. So you can see that the district is investing in addressing the needs of the students in the district. This presentation is based on the general fund only that I'm talking to you today, but in here you will see that the revenues and appropriated fund balance for next year is going to be $1,065,349,778. That includes the general fund, special aid fund, and the school food service fund. So that is an increase of 4.4 from the 23-24 budget. When we look at the budget again, the budget for next year in the general fund is $911 million. And the revenue is only $903 million, so there's a deficit of $8 million. When we look at the revenue, the city continues to be consistent, giving the district $119 million. Local is $31 million. The state aid, 82% of the money is coming from the state, $749 million. Federal aid is $3 million, and appropriated fund balance, $8 million. So the district is using $8 million from the fund balance to balance the budget for next year. Again, I want to compliment the district. I have done some research from the other Big Five school district, and the Rochester City School District right now is using the least amount of money from the fund balance to balance the budget. When we look at general fund expenditure, we can see how much money is allocated for compensation, $337 million. Benefits is $165. Other contracts are $267. I'm not gonna read every single one of them, but most of the money is going to staff and benefits in the district. Developing this plan, it was taken into consideration the reorganization proposal that includes the closing of 13 schools and programs, because in December, Lynx and the North Star were added to the proposal. We're also taking into consideration opening 5 new schools, 4 middle schools and 1 high school. So I'm going to share some of the increases that are large amount of money that are included in the budget. These are not all of them, but when we look at the increases for special education, there are 42.5 new positions in the budget for $10 million. English language learners, 16.2. Occupational education, 16.2 positions. Curriculum development, 5.4. Social workers, 5 more positions. Building-based sub, 17.5. In teacher salaries, 11.3 positions. Salaries for paraprofessionals, 30. And civil service, 7.9. So there are 152.3 positions in the budget. There are also an increase for charter school, for preschool subsidy, professional and technical services, and this began last year. This is a contract with RPD. Professional technical services, another $1.1 million, and this is for unbudgeted items and emergencies that can take place during the year. Request from the superintendent, request from the board, money to address those. So, in conclusion, when we look at the staffing, in the general fund only, even though that we're closing 13 programs, there's a reduction of only 16.5 positions. So the district is doing a lot of work to keep people employed. When we look at the other funds, it comes to a total of 58 positions. So again, I want to commend the superintendent, the budget department, and this is only the first presentation. I will be back with a report for the Commissioner of Education, a written report for the board, and the superintendent of schools.
Thank you, State
Sorry.
Monitor. Let me just, if there are
I
some
needed
questions,
water.
let me just open it up for questions. Commissioner Malloy?
Can you just review with us one more time? You said that of all the big 5 schools or all school districts in New York State,
Thank
that
you.
we were the one district with the least amount of money used by our fund balance to balance the budget?
It's based on conversation that I have had with other districts. It's not official yet because all the districts are still working on their budget. But I can say Syracuse, my former district, they're proposing to use $37 million out of the fund balance to balance the budget for next year.
And we're using 11?
And you're using 8.
8, okay. Thank you.
And that is waiting for the state to approve the budget. It could be less. Again,
And
this is the
obviously,
first
we don't want
draft.
to use fund balance year after year after year. That gets us into our deficits, right? So can you just explain why districts maybe tapped into their fund balances this year in particular?
Fund balance is money that is there to continue to provide services to students and staff in the district. It's money that the district had saved from previous year. If you recall back a few years ago, quite a few years, the Rochester City School District was in a deficit for the fund balance. If you had a big crisis, there was no way, no place for you to get some extra money. Well, there was some way. The district went and borrowed money against the spin-off. This is money that you have for emergency. You can use it all at one time. It's like your personal banking account or checking account. You can't use all the savings account because if you have another emergency, you're not gonna be able to pay for it, or you're gonna have to do something else. So that funds are there for helping the district continue to provide services to the students, the staff in the future. Because not every year you're gonna get the same amount of money for the state. We know that the enrollment is going down. We know that every year the state, they have some financial issues, and especially when it's not election time, the funding from the state is limited. So we want to make sure that the district is using that funding appropriately and that you're thinking about 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. Not that you're gonna be spending all that money now. You are reorganizing the district. With that, you also need to right-size the staff, you need to right-size the services, but you gotta keep in mind that the programs and the services that you are going to be provided are gonna be based on the needs of the students in the district.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Malloy. Vice President LeBron?
Come back to me when you get a chance.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, I just, hold on, I hate these mics, Jaime. I just want to point out to what you're saying. Also with the fund balance, I think, I just want to put out there now, I've gone through the budget already and I've had some meetings and had some conversations. I'm going to support $8 million being used out of the fund balance for this year's budget. I want to recognize there's a lot of transition also happening. And so I do think some of that sort of expenditures are being driven by some of the transition, and then once we do the reconfigurations, we're gonna have to sort of land and see where we are at financially as a landscape. But I do want to point out, right, that we went from using an excessive amount of fund balance and going out and getting loans to maintain the district, which is why we got into the deficit. And then we had nothing when we did have an emergency, which was COVID, which then led us to have to do the mid-year layoffs. There was no money. The district was in a hole. And we did have to go back to the state and also request money and borrow money against future revenues that were coming in so that we can just maintain and not have to let everyone else go. So I just want to remind, I know we sometimes have short-term memories around things, but I just want to put it back out there that I'm comfortable with 8 million this year, giving those factors, but certainly as we move forward, we really should be looking at minimally in that fund balance. I mean, we have gotten to the point in the last couple of years where we were down to nothing out of the fund balance, but I want to recognize we had extra funds that allowed us to do that, and so I don't think we've quite yet mastered how to just have a balanced budget and keep money in the fund balance for real emergencies and rainy days, not as part of our day-to-day operations long-term. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President LeBron. Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, thank you for your presentation this evening. Many of us had an opportunity to get an overview of the new budget book. I'm a fan. Thank you, CFO Farr, for taking time with us and the work that has gone in, because it was much more legible and digestible than it has been in my previous experience. So I'm looking forward to how this will lay out. I do have a question around one of the slides. I think it's 13. You said 152.3 new positions we are projecting for the district. And you said something about 16.5, because I know we have a lot of reconfiguration, school closures, right sizing, all the key words are going on. Do we have a projection on downsizing? Like what can we expect there? Because I know that it's not 16.5. Did I misunderstand?
I don't have a final budget number yet, because there are some positions in the ARPA funds that are not included in here. But I do want to make a clarification, and thank you for asking that question, that 152 positions are not all new for next year. Some of those positions are positions that were added this year that were not included in the budget that was approved last May. So they are going to be included in the budget for next year.
So positions that were already in the pipeline?
There are some positions that are already in place, yes.
Okay, and we have no projection on the other part of the question at this point?
Exactly. Some of special ed positions are new, some of the bilinguals are new, and the middle school position for the reorganization, they are new. But some of the positions are already existing in the district.
Any other questions for the state monitor? Commissioner Patterson?
Yes, and it might be redundant. Maybe my colleague just asked a question or posed a question in a different manner, but I want to ask it again so I'm clear. So when we talk about East, I think East is about, what, 25% of the budget, if I'm correct? 2.5% of the budget. But when I look here, with the declining enrollment, and again, you were just talking about the numbers and things like that, but with declining enrollment, how do you explain the increase in staff here? So, and if it is an increase in staff, you know, I'd like to know where in the budget book it details what these positions are.
And that discussion will take place during the deliberations that the board will have in the near future. That teaching and learning operations and all that will come. Again, some of those positions are already this year that were added for special ed and other services, but the other explanation will be given during the deliberations.
All right, thank you, State Monitor. Appreciate the presentation. Look forward to our deliberations in the budget, and hopefully we won't need the 8 million. But thank you so very much. Just want to end before we go into executive session and just thank all the staff and everybody for doing this great work. I mean, we have done an amazing amount of work in about a year and a half, and I've just been very excited. Now, it may not look like it yet, but we're developing the groundwork, and so I'm very excited about the direction that we're going. So I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment status of a specific individual,
So moved.
and/or to discuss matters of concern with the general counsel. Moved by Commissioner Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Santiago. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we're going to say goodnight from here, and we're going to.
There is, I'm sorry to interrupt, President Elliott, there is
Yeah.
one resolution that the board
Yeah,
will
we'll
have to.
vote on it down. How do we have to do that? I know that we got that resolution. Tell me how we need to vote on it. Do we need to come back up?
Or do you want to do it via Zoom? We can do it via Zoom downstairs.
Okay. All right. Thank you, General Counsel. Thank you all, and good night. So good evening. We have completed our executive session, and so we have one more resolution that we need to vote on. And so can I get a motion to approve resolution one? Motion. 165.
675.
Excuse me, motion 675.
Motion for
Motion
675.
for, and second, motion by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Simmons. Any questions or comments related to that resolution?
Yes, just congratulations to Dr. Harris Pepin.
Thank you. All right. No other questions? That the motion.
Nope, all those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Okay, opposed. All right. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you.
Good
Good
night,
night,
everyone.
everybody.